Yo, yo, yo. Oh, I guess I should mute my shit. Well, let me just put it in my headphones. All right. I think I'm live on all the things. All right. Okay. So this is going to be, like I said, I guess I'll wait for a few more people to come in. But this is the Ask Me Anything for those watching the stream. That's right, David Tay. Every Thursday and every Sunday, I'm here unless I'm busy or I sleep through it as I did before. But every time I'm here when I can be. I want to make this kind of just like a kind of like comfort food, you know? Like I'm not trying to make some big statement here, whatever. Maybe in the future if this grows or whatever, but really this is just kind of like, so for my I guess my own sanity, um in 2021 or even before that, in 2020 actually, that's when I started being really kind of loud online. And that's gotten me a lot of notoriety. And actually, in 2020, I started getting some a little bit of mainstream like virality because I wasn't quite communist yet, but I was like I talked with such authority about stuff that just by reading a few books, I kind of already knew more than like 99% of Americans politically. And a lot of that was just by reading Malcolm X's book alone. You just like learn so much about what America is or what America actually is. And so, yeah, in 2020, I was getting a little steam. I was getting a little popularity, whatever. In 2021, that's when a friend of mine who's in the industry, she's a screenwriter. She started my first podcast or first political podcast. I had a podcast before with another actor, um, but this one was called the Anti Asian Socialist Club. So um, that was the one I did with her, and this was more kind of like, we were in the pandemic, and it was kind of also like we were talking about anti-Asian hate, obviously. But we're just kind of like also shooting the shit about our own lives and dealing with our own lives, especially with the craziness of the pandemic. We we discussed January 6th, and we discussed GameStop. We discussed, among other things, we discussed these things, and so um, yeah, all this to say that this space right now, I don't know. I mean, obviously, it grew out of like, you know, me being off KTSC and everything like that. But I think it's also just a way for me to have an outlet. Just talking my thoughts out loud. It's almost kind of like, I'm too lazy. I mean, I do have a journal, but sometimes I'm too lazy to just write things down. So I'm just kind of like, you know what? Maybe I have a fucking stream to fucking vent about shit. Well, that's what this is. But for today, I kind of want to also give back to some of my loyal viewers, though there aren't that many right now. I'll wait a little bit more. But in the meantime, I am going to put the link in both the NGL link. Let's see. The NGL link in both the YouTube and the Twitch. Next time, I'll figure out how to get the YouTube chat because the YouTube chat is more active. So I'll have that be in that, like it says Yellow Knight. That's from the Twitch. So I'm gonna try to put the YouTube in it since there's more YouTube people in here than not. Anyhow, Yeah. For watching now, I guess that's enough. Let me just plug my Discord. Oh, that's the other thing too. Wait, did I? Yeah, I'll do that too. In case you guys wanted to, you know what? I'll invite her. In case you wanted to come into my doing an AMA on stream, if you want to ask me anything. This is the check-in SAR. Are you? Wait, you're not Matt Kim, are you? No. Wait, how do you know check-in SAR? That's Matt Kim's thing. This is Discord. I mean, if you're not Asian, I'll probably know, and I'll probably ban you. But this is kind of like an Asian-only space. Actually, I don't know. We'll see. No, I think Matt Kim would be just Matt Kim on. I don't think he's afraid to say who he is. Check-in SAR. Wait, so oh, is that what streamers do? Like have people, hey, just message that you're here so then other people will find the stream and I'll become more See, that's the thing too. I don't you know what? I don't care about the algorithm, you know? This is all we're all in the CIA's world anyway, you know? It's the algorithm is all fucking CIA'd. You know what I mean? Oh yeah, say where you're checking in from. Oh, that's kind of cool. I'm in obviously I'm in Los Angeles. Won't say too much more about that because I don't want feds getting free info. You know, you got to work for that shit. NYC here, lol. What do you think, David? Do you think I should move back to New York City? Or do you think New York City is just over? Oh, wow. You're all the way. Oh, wait. Are you hanging out on Twitter? Are you just saying that to get me to move back, David, so you have someone else to be miserable with in New York? Because I've been telling you to come back to, or come to LA for the longest time. Oh, God. They're both kind of like not great places now. Yeah, I figured. Alrighty. I guess I'll just answer the questions that I have right now. But hey, if you want to ask questions in the stream box to me, you know, this is kind of like just yeah, that would be the biggest reason why I would move back to LA, New York, to be honest. Oh man. All right, let me look at the NGL. Did anyone even ask any questions? Just 3 days ago. Okay, can you please listen to Yours by Post Malone and to listen to Hurry Up Tomorrow by The Weeknd and let me know, please, which song you like more. All right, what the fuck, guys? What the fuck? What the fuck is that? I want real fucking questions. This is like so... What is that? Like... you know, I expected questions about theory or, you know, communism, politics, aesthetics, anything, the movie industry, basically everything under the fucking sun. I have so many fucking interests. People need me asking me questions. I can't be content creating if I don't have anything to Okay. All right. I guess I'll just shoot the shit then. This is not going well. This ask me anywhere. Ask me anything. How do ask me anythings like usually operate? I mean, there's no real workout program per se. I did last week, not this week, but last week I played tennis twice. I did a run, so it's getting there. But it's actually not that hot in LA either. LA's been pretty cool during the summer so far. Not that bad. But yeah, maybe putting the ask me anything was a bad idea because we were like, oh, we already know everything about you. You are pretty boring, and so I'm gonna skip this episode because yeah, I guess I'm not a hot girl. That's the problem. AMAs only work if you're a hot chick. If you're just a dude, especially if you're just an Asian dude, nobody cares. Nobody cares about who you are. Nobody. I mean, like, if I were to isolate the types of women that would probably be interested in me, there'd probably be a lot of Asian women in Asia, probably from like third world countries or something like that, or destitute or whatever. But they can't speak English, so they probably would not be privy to an AMA. Someone like me. Yeah, I ain't going shirtless for an AMA, that's for sure. Um, yeah, I guess I didn't really think that through. I was like, yeah, if I just do an AMA, people are gonna come with questions. Because look, hold on a second. Like, cause, I said I was gonna do an AMA on Twitter. You know, after the Sunday one. Oh, I gotta delete that. Got 8 likes. Prepare all your questions for the Yellow Knight. And then the one question I got was a stupid one. Man, I won't lie to you. This month has not been the greatest month, or this past month, or how many streams? I've done 10 streams, so I guess I started late June, right? Probably wasn't the best time to start streaming because, like, I feel like after the Iran thing, and after that was kind of diffused, like there's just kind of been a lull. It's almost like this. Like, yeah, there was the Epstein thing. Yeah, there was the Israel still being piece of shit, and now it's like actively just being more piece of shit. But I don't know. This past month has just been kind of a lot of like holding pattern, you know? Like even in the world of entertainment, everyone was holding their breath for like Superman and Fantastic Four, right? But they weren't holding their breath because they were like, "Oh, I hope it's like awesome and amazing." They were like holding their breath like, "Oh, I hope it doesn't suck ass, total ass." And I guess both of them were. Oh, I didn't see Superman, but I guess like both of them were kind of like, okay. I heard Superman is even worse, but I mean, some people hated Fantastic Four that I've heard from too, and I totally get those opinions. Let's see. Actually, yeah, let's read an opinion. I feel like they just didn't do any development with the characters. Like they all had one voice. And the recurring joke about the Silver Surfer being his girlfriend felt so forced. Like they remembered they forgot to add jokes to this thing. I mean, this was a girl who told me this review. So there you go. They don't like the woman thing. You know, making Silver Surfer the woman thing wasn't this like huge girl boss moment. Nobody liked that. All right, Marvel. All right, Ghostbusters. All right, Paul Feig. It all started in 2016 with Ghostbusters. That's when the fucking disaster of franchise meets reboot meets wokeism, wokenomics. That's the collision course of doom. That was like the ultimate. No, don't do that ever again. I wonder what impacted that. Because Get Out hadn't come out yet. Get Out was like the big woke moment of like, oh my god, we're all woke now. Actually, Black Panther was 2018, so that was after. And so I guess the success of Bridesmaids, because like Paul Feig was that director, is like, oh, women can do raunchy comedies now. No, Kathleen Kennedy wasn't in charge of Sony. Kathleen Kennedy was fucking Star Wars. Sony was Ghostbusters, and because they had Columbia Pictures. That probably was Amy Pascal, the other idiotic white liberal woman who fails upwards. Like that's the other fucking bullshit about Western feminism. It's like, oh, white men just failing upwards. Like, well, what about the white women who just fail upwards? Like fucking Kathleen Kennedy or Amy Pascal or, you know, a whole host of like these fucking women who have no idea what the fuck they're doing, you know, in terms of entertainment. Like the fucking the head of the WNBA, right? She clearly has no idea what the fuck she's doing, and what you know, the whole league has been kind of like fucking shooting themselves in the foot when it comes to Caitlin Clark. And so yeah, I think when it's like a thing that determines male audience dollars, women are not pretty. They don't excel in those departments. And like, where is Kathleen Kennedy? Star Wars. Where is Amy Pascal? Sony. Where she's managing all the Spider-Man shit. And so when you're managing male dominated kind of like characters, or male dollar dominated characters, where, you know, even fucking WNBA, did you guys know that the majority of viewers for the WNBA are male? That's like what these feminists, these Western feminists, don't fucking stand. They don't understand that the people that they're catering to are not women. They're men. Like Star Wars, most of the people are men. Marvel, most of the people are men. You're not gonna fucking win over people from doing your fucking feminist wokenomics bullshit. Like, that's not gonna be a good long-term strategy. Yeah, you might get, you know, fucking, you know, at the peak, you might get a fucking Captain Marvel, because, like, you know, but even that movie, that was also male. It was also mostly male. So they saw it, they gave it a chance. But then obviously with the second one, and with the, you know, tripling down on the woke, you know, they were like, all right, fuck this shit. You're going to tell us that we're like retarded and men and whatever, and, you know, that you're OP and all this shit, then whatever. Why would somebody want to watch that? Or it's just kind of like with the WNBA, it's like, oh, you're saying that you want to watch good basketball, and, like, you know, even if it's a white woman that's leading the charge, what are you talking about? That's bad. It's like, what are you fucking talking? What are we here to watch? Are we here to watch Angel Reese be terrible on the fucking court, and like we're all trying to cheer her on as if like we're cheering on the retarded Olympics? Like, what is fucking happening right now? Cheryl Swoop said she can't be racist because she's black. Yeah, it's like the fucking dumbest shit in the world. I just fucking hate Western feminism and Western liberalism and Western kind of like any sort of Western dialogue on race is fraught with retardation. Everything. If you are a Westerner and you talk about race in any capacity, you are probably retarded. That's just the fact. I mean, I have probably studied race in America more than any human being on this fucking planet at this point, in the way that it should be materially examined. Not the fucking liberal bullshit like, black liberation theory only race. No, I'm talking about the whole encapsulation of the entire fucking story of imperialism race. Doug, you need a red hydro flask. Blue is off brand for you. I mean, I just bought it off Amazon. I was like, what's the cheapest shit I can buy? And, Yo, Soap, are you the official KTSC, I don't know. What's the thing? What's the term? KTSC indicator? Hey, everyone, join the fucking Discord, too. Did I not share the Discord? I would trust the DPRK and China about race over any other fucking country in the world. Like, they're the ones, like China and DPRK, they're the ones that actually fucking took America to the task, right? Like, so they clearly understand. Like, during the Korean War, for example, too, they would even tell the black soldiers, they would put leaflets over the American forces, and then, there would be messages for the black soldiers saying, hey, look, your country hates you. Why are you here? Why are you here trying to kill us? We're not trying to kill you. We're 8,000 miles away. Your country hates you, and you're here trying to kill us. Why do that? What is Discord, Doug? I mean, I've just been sharing the Discord. I just shared it. Didn't I? Wait, does it not? Can you guys not see it? All right, let me share it with a space. Maybe this is what you have to do. Sup, Ailoon Chang. It's a very interesting name. I've never met an Ailoon. Anyway, I'm going to put the NGL link again here, because nobody's asked me any fucking questions, and it's supposed to be an Ask Me Anything. ngl.link/DougFantastic. Now fucking go to it and fucking ask me questions. God. Alright, let me see. Let's see what's going on here. Wow. Wow, guys. Wow. Wow, I see 2 recent views. Actually, that might have been me. Link doesn't work. Wait, what? Hold on. Which link doesn't work? The Discord or the Wong O Nichan used the Discord link, so the Discord link clearly works. This is the NGL link. Now go to it and ask me a fucking question. Are you talking? See, even it if you press the dice on the lower right corner on the web one, it even like gives you questions you could just ask. Are you taken? Your type. Who's the last person you stalked? Lol, would you ever get back with your ex? Your type, your energy. Who's the first person? Who do you love? Who are you missing? Jesus Christ, I can see why women use this. Wait, the link, this Discord link doesn't work? All right, let me try to generate another Discord link. Invite people. All right. Here it is. Just copy paste that or something. You be stalking your ex or moved on? Do you have any piercings? People too scared to shoot their shot with you. Would you go back? Your best friend. Low key love how you dress. Bet you don't know who had a crush on. You know what? I'm just gonna answer these fucking random questions because apparently you guys don't even have the gumption to ask me any fucking questions. So I'm just gonna answer these NGL questions. Tell me, who do you like right now? Okay, I can't really. It's kind of embarrassing. I'm not gonna fucking tell that. And I don't know. I don't really like her, to be honest. It's kind of wouldn't work anyway. It's one of those things where you know it's probably bad for you, and she probably already knows it's bad for you, and you're just kind of in denial of it being bad for both of you. And but at the same time, you're just kind of like, you know. I'm kind of answering that, Cucker Tarleson. I'm answering that without answering it. I don't answer like specifically who it is. Oh, see, another person made it into my Discord. 2 people have made it into the Discord. Just say it since it'll never be. Well, I would, but no, I can't. I can't do it. Let's just say it's someone you probably would never have guessed. I don't fucking even know. You might have guessed it, actually. It's not that. If you stalked me enough, you could probably guess it. But I feel like I've already said too much. So I'm going to move on to the next question. Don't ask how I know, but you got a fan. Don't ask how I know, but you got a fan. Oh, this is like a random generated thing, but okay. Thank you, random generated fan. Do you always leave people on red? No, I don't. Yo, what is with these random generated stalker incel questions? Do you even know how hot you are? What are these simp cell questions? What the fuck is going on? Still talking to them? Can anyone ask you out? I mean, you can. I might not say yes, though. Bet you don't know who had a crush on you. No, I have a pretty good idea. But they make it pretty explicit, actually. Do you have a good attitude? I think it depends on my mood. If I'm feeling rational and I'm with like decent people, I feel like I might have a good attitude. But yeah. What's your sign? What is my sign? Oh, I'm a triple Scorpio, I think. Something like that. I think it's like my sun and something ascendant, and then like my Mercury or something is all whatever. Yeah, random question generator does suck. So why don't you guys fucking ask some fucking movies? I mean, not movies, some questions. I already kind of like went into the Fantastic Four movie last. I mean, if you're a fan of the series, I would. If you're like fan of the comic book, I would recommend watching it because it's just kind of like, it's just kind of like a good nostalgia sort of thing. It's cool seeing, your childhood kind of comic stuff be presented on a big screen and have it come to life. So there's that element to that. But if you're not a fan of the comic, I would not actually recommend watching it on movie theater. I would recommend probably just watching it on Disney Plus to see what happens, because you probably do need to know what happens here, and you kind of have to be familiar with the Fantastic Four in order to, understand Doom, because Doom is traditionally the main villain of the Fantastic Four series, which is always made to be an anti-Soviet propaganda thing, because he's kind of like made to be a Stalin-like character, kind of like a ruthless dictator who thinks he knows what's best for Latveria, or the Soviet Union by extension. What is triple Scorpio? It means that I am. I don't know. Apparently, it means Scorpios are supposed to be very. Well, I mean, Scorpio, right? It comes from a scorpion, so do with that image what you may. I'm not a horoscopist. I'm not an astrologist. All I know is that it means that we're very prickly. We're very independent, and we're very strong-minded. Strong-willed, I think. Something like that. I don't fucking know. Is she a celeb? Oh god, you guys are still on that? Why do you guys want to know? It's not Sydney Sweeney. Obviously, it's not someone I haven't talked to IRL. How about that? I don't pine after celebrities. And isn't Sydney Sweeney spelled with a Y? Sydney, like the city Sydney. Robert Downey Jr. Lawless. Oh yeah, your birthday is on October 23rd, right? No, it is not that. Oh, finally, we got some fucking questions. All right, here we go. How many bedrooms is your place, Doug? Why do you want to know? I'm trying to remain as anonymous as possible, so I'm not going to answer that question. Why would you want to know how many bedrooms is in my place? It seems so... I mean, I have roommates. That's all I'll say, I guess. What's your favorite book? Oh, wow. That is... Huh. What is my favorite book? That's a good question. I mean... I gotta say... I don't know. Is it something I read recently, or is it something read a long time ago for fun? That's a good question. I feel like Malcolm X's autobiography is really up there, actually. So I read that 5 years ago, and I remember after every page being like, oh my god, are you serious? Like, I feel like I was fucking, like, the book was the red pill, and I was waking up from the Matrix. And, you know, every page was like, holy shit, this fucking bullshit fucking country. You know? I was just so excited reading it. And then the same kind of feeling came over me when I read Lenin's Imperialism. You know, it just felt like this really eye-opening moment for both. Of like, oh, this is why the world is as it is. You know, it felt like I had finally come to the answer. And I didn't even know the question. I feel like I didn't even know the question. But I had sought this answer my entire life. And, you know, I in these two books I read in 2020, I felt like it encapsulated all the answers that I was looking for. Of course, that you know, not all the answers, right? Because, like, I'm still reading. Jesus, I'm reading, like, fucking... yeah. I mean, I'm still reading German ideology now. And, yeah, this is actually pretty good. I also ordered all of... whatchamacallit? I ordered all of Marx's works. Because I'm just gonna fucking go through them all. You know, you just kind of have to know everything, you know? And I know that seems probably like, you know, I'm trying to give myself a power trip by being like, oh, look how much I know, look how much I'm so smart, blah, blah, blah. But in actuality, I think I'm more kind of like of the mindset of like, look, who's got the actual power? Who's got the material conditions? Who's got all the money on their side? If you want to win against overwhelming odds, you need to have every single weapon in your arsenal. Well, that's kind of just why I've been just reading. You know, I intended to make a documentary about the world history and how it related to anti-Asian racism like 3 years ago. 4 years ago, I conceived of this idea. 3 years ago, I started reading a lot more about the Soviet Union and Russia and all this other stuff. That's when I started reading hardcore. And then, fuck, like, I intended to make a documentary on the Nazis, right? So I started reading all about Germany, reading all about Hitler. You know, a year ago, like I've been reading for 2, 3 years now about like Stalin, Hitler, Goebbels. You know, I've read about Heinrich Himmler, read all about the Nazis and their fucking, you know, their legal stuff and like how they operated, how the Holocaust happened. And I still have a lot of stuff to read about the fucking Germans because I got to read Schopenhauer's like crazy shit. And not only that, Marx's stuff. Because I guess like I was thinking of making stuff, but then inevitably I'm like, oh man, but I don't want to leave out that part. And then I'm like, oh, well, I don't want to leave out that part. And finally it expanded into this fucking, oh, I need to make a whole, like, Game of Thrones type, like, world sweeping history lesson of the entire fucking, like, global civilization, you know? It's actually Engels and this book, really, that kind of inspired me. And some other books, too. Um, Early on, actually, like when I was depressed 6 years ago, this was before I even thought about communism. I was reading books just to kind of like get myself out of a rut. And I had read Sapiens by Yuval Noah Harari. This is before I knew anything about Zionism and how, you know, because Harari is a Israeli who's obviously a Zionist. But I thought it gave a pretty good overview of human history. I probably would disagree with it now because I haven't read it in 6 years, so I'm sure I would disagree with a lot of its points. But I kind of like enjoyed the idea of having this sweeping kind of like anthropological analysis of humanity. And yeah, I guess I wanted to do the same thing, kind of like create this historical materialist world history, like starting all the way from the fucking, you know, the Persians who created Zoroastrianism, right? Because that's where fucking you know Nietzsche's Zarathustra comes from, right? The fucking entire canon of Western civilization. I wanted to kind of like figure it all out and be like, hey, this is why the world is the way that it is today. Like tracing every single event. Man, is my eye fucking up? Oh, God. Yo, new pizza and burger joint? Like, usually the only place that had both that was pretty good was Emily's, but then they usually devolve into like being good at only one, and then finally they stop being good at either because, you know, that's what happens with restaurants. Restaurants all have a cycle, you know, when they first start out and the main chef's there, you know, in the first 6 months, it's awesome. Then in the next, you know, when the restaurant does really well and the chef's expanding and going to other locations to start those, you know, the next 2 or 3 years or so, he brings on their, you know, his assistants or whatever, and it's still pretty good. But then You know, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years later, when there's a lot of fucking restaurants of that type or whatever, and now the quality is fucking terrible. It can't be maintained or made standardized, and so everything kind of just sucks. It kind of happens with yeah. I don't know what Dragon Con is. I'm assuming it's another Comic Con, but I don't actually really go to that nerd shit, to be honest. Despite my nerd like existence, I'm an Asian nerd. I'm not a white nerd. I feel like white autistic nerds, they're really into this comic book stuff that it becomes like an entire like part of their lives. Like, they have all the fucking toys or the fucking, the Galactus fucking popcorn thing for $80. That's the type of thing white autists buy. But have I been to a Comic Con before even? I think I went once, but I was going with a friend who was doing some panel thing. I don't even fucking know. It's just like whatever. No, I am not into anime. I actually made fun of my um I actually made fun of my friend during high school for being into anime so much. I called him Otacon from from Metal Gear Solid. I did get into Naruto in um college though. And I just kind of like binged it all. That was 2002 to 2006. That was like when Naruto was coming out. And I was doing the fucking ninjutsu shit way before anyone in America knew what the fuck Naruto was. I was doing the fucking Naruto run before that shit. I was doing the fucking the fucking Rasengan shit. Like in Smash Brothers, for example, the forward smash that looks like a fireball from Mario's hand. I'd be like Rasengan. And then when they fly off the screen, you'd be like, yes, you've been Rasengan. But yeah, starting college, I also watched Bleach. Um, I think it's just college when you have a T1 connection, you're just downloading all this shit to watch. So that's why I got into a little bit of anime then, and then I watched Death Note, obviously, after college. It's my favorite anime. Um, though I have kind of soured on it lately. Uh, and then I watched all of Attack on Titan in order to critique it later because I intend to show why Attack on Titan is just Japanese Nazi apologetica and fucking bullshit. And it's made by a Nazi scum artist. So, there you go. Um, my connection to Japanese culture was more on the video game side, obviously, uh, with Metal Gear Solid. Um, obviously N64 and the Final Fantasy series. Um, and yeah, that's what I'll be fucking putting up. I do think that I don't know. Hideo Kojima does kind of like worship white people still, but he's probably the least objectionable Jap uh, in media, in Japanese media. Uh, let's see. Did you hear about the Kids Online Safety Act debacle? I don't know what that is. What's the Kids Online Safety Act debacle? Burger joint at the Parker Meridian was my favorite. That was an old spot. That was good. That was like 2000. That was like in the mid 2000s. Burger joint was pretty good. But then, there's been so many other burger spots since. I feel like Burger Joint is like kind of like it's kind of like an old school. No, I am not gonna watch Boruto and the new Bleach. That's gonna be a total fucking waste of time. FFX best FF game. I don't know about that. I would have to say 6, then 7, then 9, then 10. Um, Final Fantasy 6 is the best, obviously. I think 7 gets too much shine, but it is probably number 2. And then I don't know. Personally, I like 8 slotted in third, but I know a lot of people do not like 8. So, yeah. Anyway, I would slot. Most people would slot 6 and 7 to be top 1 and 2. You know, switch the order maybe. But I think like 9, 10, 8, 4, 5, 1, 2, or 2, 1 is the kind of like traditional order. I don't know. I'd have to think about that more. Anything after 10, though, is kind of garbage. 11 and 14, obviously, are the MMOs. 12, 13, and 15. I had 15. I actually didn't play it all the way through. I never got 16. I never finished 12 or 13 either. I should have probably at least finished them, but I never even fucking got to finishing anything after 10. I did obviously play the first 2 remakes, play the third one later. It really is like you really, I feel like most capitalists don't understand this, or most people with, you know, that make these decisions, that make this stuff, but I feel like most people don't understand that story is so important. Like, that's the whole reason there even is a fucking Final Fantasy remake for 7. Because the story was just so compelling to a lot of people that it just drew people to wanting to see it again. You know, that's what the remake is. It's just like, it's repackaging an old story that you've seen into like this, you know, kind of like a better format. You know what? Maybe I'll play number 10 again on stream just to prove that it's not the best, because I will pick it apart. I will pick your fucking childhood apart if you want me to, because I'll do that. Fucking, you know, that you guys only like, you probably guys only liked it because it had that woman with the big boobs that bent over every time you won a fucking battle. That's probably why you like Final Fantasy X. Just kidding. I just don't even I don't even fucking remember the story. The fucking, what, the main bad guy was Sin or some shit. That was like the weirdest fucking shit ever. Solo leveling in Korean. It was just this weird fucking Japanese. I couldn't get into it. Not really into anime. What is solo leveling in Korean? Waka was the best waifu. What is Waka? See, that's the thing. I got it. Oh, Waka. Oh god, that guy was annoying as fuck. Wait, Lulu. Lulu was a girl. I was just like, how? Even at the age of, like, when did fucking Final Fantasy X come out? Like 2000? Oh god, why is my fucking computer lagging like shit? Ugh. I'm getting a lot of lag. No, I didn't finish that Hitler. I did not finish the Hitler anime. Oh shit. Did my fucking stream die? Why is my stream lagging like fucking shit right now? Fuck. Why is it all laggy? Damn it. All right, I think it's fine now. Okay, yeah. I was looking up Final Fantasy and I went on some fucking wiki. I went on some fucking Final Fantasy wiki, and I think the wiki was one of those websites that take a lot of your fucking resources. It kind of froze the fucking computer. Okay, so 2001, right? So even in 2001, how old was I? I was like around 17, 18 years old. And even then, I was like, what are these pervy Japs doing with this Lulu character? Every time you fucking win, she has this like low cut dress with these huge boobs, and she just like bends over every fucking time. I was like, oh, these fucking perverted Japs. And it just like be for absolutely no reason at all. It's like they wanted to like make, like, at least with Tifa, they at least pretended like, you know, it was like, yeah, she had huge tits, but it wasn't like she was like, after every fucking battle, right? With Final Fantasy X, I was like, what is this fucking bending over every time you win a battle? That was weird shit, yo. Um, oh, that was the name of a manhwa. Is that like do they call that manhwa? And then like they call them the anime, they called it like webtoon, right? Isn't that what they call it in Korea? I did not finish the Hitler anime. I'm like 20 or 30 episodes into it. That is weird shit for sure. That is going to be in a future episode. Jesus Christ. I know I said that I would finish the Breaking Bad script by today, but I decided that I wanted to watch it because I had the references in my mind, but I wanted to have all of the references. So I already watched through the first two seasons again, trying to get every single reference that can be politically related. Just so I have it in my set so I can fucking read off of it. That's way yeah. There's a Chinese anime about Karl Marx. Yeah, I know. It's called The Leader. I haven't read it yet, or I haven't watched it yet, but I intend to when I have a lot more time. Don't have any time lately. Ugh. Part of that's my reason. I mean, part of that's my fault. I just fucking waste a lot of time. All right. Oh, okay. We got 5 new messages. This Ask Me Anything is going great. Because I want to know if there's a free bedroom I can move into. No, there is not. First of all, it's not up to me. My name's not on the lease. Second of all, there's not an extra room. And third of all, it would not be free. Because why would I give you a free bedroom to move into? That makes no sense. Have you read The Governance of China by Xi? No, I have not. I have not read anything from Xi Jinping, actually. I do want to eventually read his stuff, but if anything, you can see see this book, see these books? That's a whole pile of books I have to get through. This is a pile of books I have to get through. This is a pile of books I read. These are the pile of books. These ones I've kind of read, except for the front. The front one I haven't read. The front one for this I have read. The back one for that I have not read. So you can see how long my queue is. And these are books that I also want to read too. Like these books right here. They're about autism. But they're on the fucking back burner because everyone hates autistic people. So... FF7 Tifa boobs were just polygons on So through the PS1. Yes, but oh shit. Yes, but there's a scene near the end. There's like a cutscene near the end on the airship. Her boobs are just like bouncing around as she falls to the floor. It's kind of Jap to say that. I feel like Japanese like pervertedness has its own character, you know? It's kind of different from like white pervertedness, if that makes sense. Doug, you and I have the same birthday, November 10th. We can be roommates and be double Scorpios. Okay, that's very concerning how you know my exact birthday and the roommate thing. Okay. Clearly, do you buy at all into the idea of advanced ancient civilizations? Like the Protoss and the Zelnaga? You mean like on other planets? If you're talking about this planet, I have not seen enough evidence where I could conclusively say that that is the case. I mean, there's this thing. Here's the thing too. Like, this is stuff people have been researching and looking for millennia, right? They've been looking for Atlantis and all this other fucking shit. But if the scientific community is saying that it's all bullshit, if Chinese scientific community is also saying that, never saying anything about it, then I have no reason to believe in stuff that has not been scientifically proved. Favorite and least favorite Final Fantasy? Well, I think I already discussed that. Favorite, I think, is 6. It I feel like 7 is somewhat getting up there because of the remake, and you're just kind of like, oh, this is like a cool, you know, rediscovery or more kind of like a coming back to a familiar place. If Final Fantasy 6 made like an actual remake and like a really good one, and they kind of also maybe modified the second half, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of potential there. Like, but I don't think it'll ever get done because they might SquareSoft might not even make money on the last installment. I think the sales for the second one were disappointing. So they're definitely kind of like reevaluating their strategy with the remakes and stuff like that. Obviously, they just kind of have to finish this one just because it's the culmination of a 3-part thing, and I'm sure the third one will probably do better than the second one in terms of sales because it will be the ending, so people want to see how it all ends. But I will say that trying to because AAA games are not profitable anymore. It just takes so much to make them. Maybe if there are significant advancements in AI in terms of programming kind of special effects and stuff for Unreal Engine, then I could see, them making kind of remakes for all of them because it's just kind of like so easy to like create all those assets, right? Because like in, with this current remake that's going on right now, I think they started in like 2015. So really, it took them 5 years to make the first installment, which was it's only 30 hours, very short, and then 3 years to make the second installment, which ended up clocking around 60 hours for story gameplay, and like I played over 200 hours because I was just doing all the other ancillary stuff, which was kind of fun too, and so they had all the assets for that programmed in those 3 years. They also had the 4 years of assets or 5 years of assets from the first one, but they had to build out all those assets again for the rest of the world because the first game you were only in Midgar, And so in the second game, you had to build out all the assets for all the different places you were going to go to. And for the third game, they don't have to build out that many assets because, they already kind of did a lot of that in the second game. They do have to do some of the airship stuff and whatever, but most of it is taken care of, which is why they're able to kind of like focus more on the story for the last part and kind of deliver, hopefully, a good final entry. Because I know they're trying to do something a little wonky with the story as well to kind of make it not just a one-to-one recopy, but to try to give it a little spin, which I appreciate. I know some people don't like it because it's not like the true story of Final Fantasy VII, but I kind of like it because I'm just kind of like, let's try something. Let's try something new. Let's see what happens. Because honestly, I didn't like Final Fantasy VII as much as a lot of other people did. And this new spin is kind of like making it a lot more interesting to me. So I'm kind of interested in see what they finally do. It should be coming out in 2027, I believe. That would mark, I think that would mark the 30-year anniversary of the when it first came out in '97. And so yeah. StarCraft was also my game back in the day. I was not very good at it, unfortunately. I was not a very... I don't know. I'm not a very good... I don't know. I guess like competitive gamer, if that makes sense. I guess like the only competitive gaming thing I do is poker. I mean, I like talking shit and talking trash as if I'm good, but when it came down to it for StarCraft, I was not a good player. Because I kind of like was kind of like a lazy player because like I mostly joined 2-on-2s with my friends, 3-on-3s, and we just fucking trolled BGH. It was just kind of like a thing to more play with friends during high school, It was more of a social thing for me. It wasn't really like this really competitive thing where I needed to go ladder, right? I needed to be on the fucking ladder and beat all these people, one-on-ones. I don't know. I did enjoy playing though because it was just kind of like it was like the early days of like online gaming, where you literally had to type out your trash talk. That's why I was like, I made all those fucking... I don't know if people are familiar with me, but if they knew me from way back when, I used to like make all these ridiculous acronyms. Like, for example, my handle was Technologic or Tech, or a lot of times it was just Tech or whatever. And then at the end of a game, for example, I'd be taunting my opponents by saying, "This is Tech you're talking about," and then I just shorten it to TITYTA, Titiata. And it'd be this stupid fucking thing that I do just to troll people because like nobody knows what that fucking means. But like, let's say I was playing with a friend, 2-on-2s or 3-on-3s, like with two friends against these randoms or whatever. When they're losing, I'd be like Titiata. Just to troll people with this acronym that they don't even know what the fuck it means. But yeah, this was back when like online gaming was a new and developing culture. Like the first StarCraft online match that I played was literally a dial-up modem to another dial-up modem because I didn't know like how to play on the internet. I didn't even know what BattleNet was. I was just like, oh, you can kind of use this thing to... And then what we ended up doing was making fucking photon cannon because I never played before, so I was like, oh, you just need the defense, just make photon cannons all around the fucking, whatever. But yes, that was my StarCraft experience, and then I played a lot of StarCraft 2 with my friend who was a lot better. He was Masters 1-on-1, but we played 2-on-2s too. Yeah. I would be kind of like I would be the guy who would build the Colossus while he was kind of like maintaining our defenses and whatever. And once we had a death ball, I'd bring in the Colossi. Zero, zero. Just lasering everyone. God, the Colossus. What a fun unit. Anyway, Doug, you should watch ReZero Starting Life in Another World. I don't know what that is. What is ReZero Starting Life? We hope you brought pizza, Wong Oni-chan. Yeah, the Discord isn't very active, so feel free to just fucking chat whenever you want, and hopefully somebody will respond. I'm just trying to get more and more people here, so that people do kind of have a space where they can, you know, just chat about Asian shit and not have to worry about fucking non-Asians being all retarded with non-Asian shit. Yeah, I said it. I fucking said it. That's what I said. Like Assassin's Creed Shadows with Black Samurai, Japanese were mad about historical inaccuracy. Well, on that, you know, most Asians don't give a fuck. They're like, oh, what about the historical inaccuracy of your fucking textbooks? Of your fucking, you know, war crime denialism. Fucking scum. But I will admit, it is also, it's just kind of like black people, like, it's fucking embarrassing. Like, what, you're so pathetic that you need to find some sort of, like, figure of strength in another people's culture. That's just fucking, and you have to claim it as your own because you're black and, you know, whatever. That's just fucking pathetic. I'm sorry, if I were a black person, I'd be like, this is fucking cringe, bro. Like, stop doing that shit. That's fucking cringe. Why would I want to be a fucking samurai in feudal Japan? That's just fucking LARP and gay and cringe. That's what it is. Like, you're just being fucking cringe. Like, black weebs, you are just all fucking cringe. Like, do you know what Japan stands for, you dumb fucks? God. I mean, I blame W.B. Du Bois for that, because he actually was like, during World War II, he was like, hey, black people, we should actually support Japan because they're actually fighting the white man. That's what W.B. Du Bois said, and he didn't retract the statement, even when he became a communist. Even when he became, you know, left the NAACP and became a communist, he never retracted his fucking bullshit retarded statement. So that's why black people are like, hey, Japan people, they were just fighting the white people. I had that repeated to me by this black guy. Just 60, because his Japanese friends told him that fucking bullshit. That's what I'm fucking saying. These fucking Japs, they fucking lie, and they're lying today. They're like, oh yeah, no, we were actually trying to liberate all of Asia from America. That's what we were trying to do. It's like, fuck you, Jap. Black samurai allegedly kills Japanese to hip hop music in the game. Yeah, see, this is what the white liberal wants to do. They want to fucking make the black person be like, hey, we were samurai, you know, like all this fucking bullshit, and they want to enrage Asian Americans, being like, this is fucking bullshit too, and this is what they fucking do. This is what white liberals do. They're fucking scum. Because if you see that fucking black Ubisoft development room, it's all fucking white women. It's all fucking disgusting scum white liberal women. Fucking pieces of shit. It's a show about this Japanese NEET gets transported to this medieval world where he respawns at an earlier point whenever he dies. He respawns at an earlier point whenever he dies? Wait, so then couldn't he just fucking rewrite the entire feudal history by just dying and then just replaying it and just dying and replaying it? All the previous Assassin's Creed had male leads where their ethnicity race matched. Yeah, exactly. It's all fucking white supremacist bullshit. White liberalism is white supremacy. That's the actual white supremacy that's going on in society. I had a friend who married a Japanese girl because he wanted revenge for what happened in the war. Well, if he wanted revenge, why wouldn't he just hit it and quit it? Marrying her seems like a long-term commitment where you're actually rewarding them for what happened in the war. Yeah, Ubisoft French, those fucking French baguette pieces of shit. Fuck Ubisoft. Fuck France. The fucking French pieces of shit. Fucking French. Yeah, I could see why the Japanese came up with that concept then. All right, I'm going to check the questions one last time. This has not been a really good Ask Me Anything, but maybe next time. No, I'm not going to do an Ask God, I don't want to say it's Ask Me Anything. It happened. This happened again where nobody's asking me fucking good questions. Somebody's asking me about my personal life and wanting to move into my place, I guess. But other than that, no one's asking me anything good. What are your thoughts on bricks? Well, it's got one member that's not quite on fucking board. That's for sure. I think. I mean, obviously the concept is good, but if you don't have total unity, especially with that one fucking piece of shit Jeet country, that isn't fucking pulling its weight, then it's useless. Then it's just like it's like if you don't have total unity of strength in these economic issues, that provides a vector for opportunism. That provides a vector for the United States and the West to do whatever they need to do to get the Jeets on board with their fucking bullshit. And totally derails the entire plan completely. So if BRICS wants to be successful, it should probably get rid of the fucking India, because they're not worth even fucking including, because they're pieces of shit. And yeah, they should move on with that. That's what BRICS should do. Because clearly, the Jeets are not Jeeting. The Jeets are not Derek Jeter. Check-in SAR. Who said that first? We are all checking in SARs. Actually, you know what? That's going to be a thing I'm going to do. I'm going to steal that from Matt. I'm going to say, checking in SAR just for the algorithm. I need you to, just say hello and where you're from. Every time. Just to algorithmize check-in SAR. Just because I want to say check-in SAR, too. Because it's funny. You're like, Doug, hey, why does everyone do check-ins? Oh, that's smart. You're doing it for the algorithm, right? It's like, no, I'm doing it because it's fucking hilarious. That's why. When are we getting more video essays, Bob? Actually, I just talked about that. The next thing is about Breaking Bad. I said I was going to write a draft for the episodes by today, but I decided I wanted to make it as complete and thorough as possible, so I'm going through the whole series yet again. Probably my 12th time going through the entire fucking show. And I'm writing down every single time I think it's referring to something political or something allegorical. So I'm going through that. I'll be probably finished. And I have to do Better Call Saul as well, because I think the entirety of Breaking Bad timeline kind of goes from... Yeah, it goes from... Probably like... So my theory is that Breaking Bad pretty much starts in 1939, or allegorically, because in the start of the show in 2000, in the Breaking Bad timeline, it's 2008, right? But in the beginning of the show, Walter White is 50 when he decides to go to Jesse Pinkman and cook meth. Jesse Pinkman, who I've decided represents Poland or the Polish working class. And so invading Poland for, to get into cooking meth, or invading Poland was 1939, right? And Hitler, as we all know, was born on April 20th, 1889. And so how old was he when he invaded Poland? He was 50 years old. And how old is Walter White in the beginning of the show? He is 50 years old. So that's just one reference that I've collected out of many. But with these pieces, I'm going to make an episode describing how Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul really is an allegory for the 30 Years' War, the second 30 Years' War in Europe. There's stuff about... I'm less certain about this, but I like one of the crazier ones that I've realized is that Hector Salamanca both represents Leon Trotsky and Nikita Khrushchev. He's Trotsky until he's paralyzed, and then it becomes Khrushchev. So that's the more out there reference that I've kind of determined. But if I'm right, it could be pretty cool. But it'll be a thing where I present it, and I'll ask the audience if they think that I'm onto something here. If I'm not onto something, if I'm stupid, and I'm just making shit up. But I think I made a pretty compelling case. But I wanted to make, I had the ideas in my head like a month or two ago, but now I want to more write it all down so I have every single one, so I'm not missing anything, or hopefully not missing. I'm sure I'm going to miss something eventually, and comments will tell me that I missed it and whatever. But I want to be as thorough as I can. Breaking Bad is on my to watch list. The other thing about Breaking Bad is that it was actually one of the Attack on Titan authors' favorite shows and an inspiration. So I was like, oh, I think I know why, you fucking Nazi. See, because if you think about it, Breaking Bad is a show where Vince Gilligan himself, he says something like, I wanted to make, Mr. Chips turn to Scarface, right? Like he wanted to make it seem like this mild-mannered person could turn into this monster, right? And so, but I think it goes deeper than that. I think it goes like as if it's like Vince Gilligan asking the question, could you hypothetically root for Adolf Hitler? And kind of like creating this sympathetic, more sympathetic Hitler type character in Walter White, and seeing what the breaking point for the audience is in terms of like when they decide to turn on him. And if I'm honestly speaking, when I first saw the show, I was on board like pretty much to the end. I was like, let's go, Walt. Let's fucking go. Let's fucking kill those neo-Nazis and end on top, right? Obviously I knew by then it was like, well, this is kind of a Pyrrhic victory, obviously, because everything was fucking ruined. And, it's not like the message of the story is this was a good outcome. But, this was before I was a communist and before I was thinking about any of this stuff, right? It's just kind of like, it is very populist, this idea of this Nietzschean kind of like take control of your own destiny idea, right? And the idea that Walt, on some level, did kind of like take control of his own destiny. Whether that was a good destiny or morally good destiny or morally bad destiny was kind of beside the point. It was just the fact that he had decided to stop being a spectator in his own life and be a participant, no matter what came about from it. And ultimately it is kind of like a very philosophical show at its core. I think the big idea that it was interesting the big idea for this episode came really when I was reading a lot of German philosophy. And I was like, wait, a lot of these ideas seem very similar to the ideas that are in Breaking Bad, you know? And, you know, that led me to kind of like watching Breaking Bad again, I think a few months ago. That's when I first came up with the idea. I was like, wow, there is a lot of German references here. Like, to the point where it's like, this had to be on purpose for some reason. And so, like, just digging deeper, like, Elliot Schwartz, for example. Schwartz is a German name, but it's typically associated with German Ashkenazi names. So, typically, Schwartz is Jewish. And guess who Walt blames for his failures in life? Elliot, right? He blames him for stealing his girl. He blames him for stealing his girlfriend. Not or girl, stealing his business, like gray matter or whatever, stealing his ideas or whatever. It's clearly obvious that he's kind of delusional in all this, because it seems like Ellie and Gretchen are not the ones who kind of like pushed him out or anything. He just kind of left for whatever reason. But in Walt's mind, he's the reason that, you know, he needs to do all this stuff, because he needs to prove that he's just as great or just as good or even better, right, than Elliot or whatever. Because even at the end of the last season, he still talks about it. He's like, I check it every day. I check this gray matter, you know, how the stock price is doing every day. He's like literally watching their money. And so it also gives you a hint that Walt, this character inside him, this evil inside him or whatever, was always kind of there. It just didn't have the opportunity to manifest itself because of Walt's fear. And so, yeah, so that was kind of like an interesting thing. I was like, wait, what? The only German Jewish name seems to be this very rich and wealthy guy in this story. I'm just kind of like, this is... And then you're just like digging deeper. You're just kind of like, wait a second. Like, you know, for example, Skylar White, I've designated her kind of like as the representative of Vichy France, right? Because at first she's like, what are you doing? Like this is, you know, this is wrong. This is dealing methamphetamine and blah, blah, blah. But then she almost like turns into Lady Macbeth by the end of the fucking show. She's like, we need to just kill Jesse. Like, what's one more guy? We've killed so many people. What's this guy who's threatening our existence? Like, and she actually kind of like makes sense. It's just kind of like, yeah, we should just kill this guy if he's gonna fucking kill us, you know. But it kind of speaks to the fact that even Skylar has this transformation of like, you know, of let's just fucking do the evil thing. And the other thing that I found out last night is Skylar's maiden name is Lambert. And then I looked it up. The majority of Lamberts in the world are from France. So I'm like, this is not a fucking coincidence. Vince Gilligan knew what he was fucking doing. Vince Gilligan, for example, he's Irish. And he makes Saul Goodman the Irish character, right? So that's kind of a hint to who the Cypher is in this story. Saul Goodman is kind of, I think, supposed to represent Vince Gilligan's eyes in this whole thing. But then Saul Goodman, for example, is LARPing as a Jewish guy to have credibility in the legal world. So there's also this kind of like, latent anti-Semitism that's going on as a kind of nod to like what's actually going on in this thing. But then, I haven't totally figured this out, but Saul Goodman's Irish background also comes into play later on, when we're talking about England and other stuff in the 1930s. I have yet to kind of like solidify a few of those things, so I have to kind of think about that a little more. But I am very, 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 very convinced that, at least on some level, this whole Breaking Bad was not supposed to just reference a little bit of Nazis here and there. You know, you have the obvious Heisenberg, you have the obvious neo-Nazi thing. And so, you know, those are the obvious references, right? That can point to Nazis and, you know, World War II, whatever. No, I think the entire fucking show is designed to be an allegory for World War II. And not only just World War II, but the events 20 years ago, right? That's why it's significant, because what happens 20 years before in 1939? Well, that was 1919, right? That was the beginning of the German fucking revolutions that were going on after World War I. And so, you know, what happens 20 years ago, for example, one time? That's when Gus Fring's BFF gets shot by Hector Salamanca, who I've designated as Trotsky. And so that makes Max Archuleta, or Max the Gus's BFF, that makes him Lenin. He gets shot and dies. And that makes Gus Fring Stalin. And you'll see that too when he's talking about the Salamancas. He says, like, oh, you say you're sangre por sangre? You're sangre por dinero. He says, I am different from the Salamancas. I'm not here just for money. You know, I'm here for honor. I'm here for respect. I'm here for justice. That's what Gus is essentially saying when he separates himself from the Salamancas. He says they're just a bunch of jackals and, you know, people with no vision, people who don't understand anything. And that's kind of like what Stalin and Lenin said about the Trotskyites, right? I'm a little less certain about that, since it is more Soviet friendly and a lot more, you know, anti-liberal in its interpretation. So I'm not 100% sure about that, but I think it's pretty good. You know, it fits the scheme. So I'm going to try to make that all into an episode soon. So hopefully I'll have that within... I'm going to give myself a deadline. Within the next 2 weeks, I will have an episode about that. How about that? 2 weeks. Give me 2 weeks. And then after that, I'm going to work hardcore on the Kanye episode, because God knows I need to fucking do that. So that's going to be it. Hopefully I'll be streaming probably next week. Next Thursday I'll be streaming, because I'm not getting that Elgato card until the 6th or something like that. So I'm not going to get it in time for Sunday, but I will get... What do you think of The Fifth Element? I'm assuming you mean the Bruce Willis movie. I haven't seen it in a long time. I think it was fun, but... yeah, it was kind of like very Interstellar, right? Like the fifth element is love, blah, 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 whatever. I don't know. Favorite and least favorite Breaking Bad character? I mean, obviously my favorite character is Walter White. Because, like, I identified with Walter White, too. And, you know, like the whole duality of having this Heisenberg side, right? You have this mild-mannered Doug Kim side. Then you have my Heisenberg side, which is like, oh, you thought I was this happy-go-lucky guy that wasn't going to take you to task if you tried to attack me, huh? You thought you could just attack me and that nothing would happen and that you would be safe. Well, I'm here to tell you that I am the one who fucking knocks, you know? But I think that's the point of the show, right? That's the point of the show, is to, like, kind of make you empathize with what most people would consider a psychopath. But then really peel under the layers of, like, oh, under the right conditions, or under the right or the specific conditions, nearly anyone could be this character. I guess that's like kind of like the philosophical debate of the show of like the moral ambiguity. And this comes up all the time in the show, you know, like about, I mean, you have Mike talking about it all the time, like saying like, oh, I know crooked cops and I know like honest criminals, you know, like, you know, it doesn't matter. Like labels don't really matter about your morality. It's more about like, you know, and it brings this question about the state and morality. And does the state really deal with morality, or does it deal with protecting the rich and powerful? And this is like much more explicit in Better Call Saul, right? Um, which is why ultimately I think Vince Gilligan isn't being like pro Hitler, right? I think he's ultimately at the end of the show and the end of the day, I think he's very, I think he's a crypto communist. If I'm right, especially if I'm right about the Trotsky connection, then I think it's very probable that he might be a crypto communist. Because Vince Gilligan also worked on The X-Files. And The X-Files, as many of you may know, is a show about the FBI and paranormal stuff and whatever. But it's also kind of like about the FBI, you know, itself and the organization behind it. And, you know, working with the and the cynical tone about the DEA in the show, too. You're just kind of like, oh, Gilligan isn't really a fan of American kind of like state power. And so, yeah. To the Yellow Knight Podcast Gmail. What is that? What are you talking about? Oh, you wrote me to. I guess I can check that. Oh, you wrote it to the Gmail, Mike. Your question. Let me see. I've been listening to the Fantastic Four soundtrack recently. I think it's pretty catchy. Even though I think it's kind of lame when it goes Fantastic Four. I feel like they shouldn't even fucking have. Wow, I have a lot of email that I haven't. Oh, this is all TikTok, whatever. Oh, this is a long one. I'll read this later. I'll read that later. Thanks for the analysis, Paul. This is a little long. Actually, you know what? Since nothing's really going on, should I read it on air? You want me to read it on air? I can read it on air so everyone can see what I'm talking about. Yeah, Japan is definitely responsible for anything that happens to it. Japan, whatever. Japan is like, well, Taiwan is the Israel of Asia, but Japan is kind of like. Wait, what did I wrote something kind of like. All right, the analogs. DPRK is Asia's Palestine, right? I guess that doesn't make. I guess Taiwan is Israel, though. Okay, but in this analogy, DPRK is Asia's Palestine. The ROK obviously then is Israel, the fake country. China is Iran, obviously. Vietnam is Iraq. Japan is UAE. Taiwan is Saudi Arabia in this instance. Philippines is Egypt. And the Singapore is Qatar. Yes, read it on air. Mainly because it's just rambling. Well, you know what? I'm actually kind of curious because I'm just kind of... All right, so here's what Paul Kim says. Hey, Doug. Tune into your live stream last week and talk some shit on Ed and chat. I was writing you because you kept asking about deets. I was kind of having some trouble remembering exactly what happened. Came to me a few days later. Remember a bit better about what went down, blah, blah, blah. Basically, it was at the time you had recently departed from KTSC. They had recently added Hajin. Oh, okay, so the first time as a panel member, and Ed and her were fighting every episode, mainly Ed just being a little Bitch about some group chat between KTSC members that he was excluded. He was felt some type of way about it, blah, blah, blah. I was commenting a lot on KTSC at the time, chiming my little commentary. Dropped my comments about how dumb and petty Ed was being. Over the course of a few episodes, I started to notice some critical comments were getting shadow banned on YouTube. Whether that was work of YouTube's auto-censoring and filtering or if KTSC moderating, I'm still uncertain. Well, it depends on if you were using certain words. I mean, if you were using just normal words and it wasn't like Israel related, then I can't see YouTube banning those kinds of comments. Anyway, due to being somewhat annoyed at having my awesome posts, sarcasm if you couldn't tell, blocked, I could tell. I also started posting comments on some of KTSG's IG posts, basically call out Ed for being a little bitch, blah, blah, blah. Accusing him of being the reason why he kicked the show. Incorrectly, obviously, as he cleared up, blah, blah, blah. Here's one of the posts where I went back and forth with Ed. Obviously, it was wrong, blah, blah, blah. I read Ed's clapbacks towards me and responded in kind with my own shots. His main insult towards me was calling me insecure. Dudes kept saying I was insecure over and over. I used certain emojis, and I don't know if you pick up on these things, but Ed definitely types in a certain way. He uses because and he basically types his posts like how he talks, especially when he's frustrated or angry. So at the same time I was fighting Mr. Ed on IG, I noticed the comments I was posting on KTSC were being deleted or auto moderation or quickly replied to in a very negative manner by some guy named John Kim 1995. Strange thing was that John Kim 1995 also kept accusing me of being insecure, typed exactly like Ed, using this BC-styled shorthand. Also used the same emojis, Ed. Lastly, he kept accusing me of being Hajin simp, which I am not at all. No offense to her, but she's kind of an idiot, IMO. Blah. Yeah, I mean... No argument here. Anyway, also note that this was at the height of the drama. John Kim guy had an insane boner for Ed, basically posting paragraphs about how Ed is a good dude who fights injustice online and whatnot. Actually took me about a week of taking abuse from this John 1995 guy until I realized, dude, this fucking Ed 100%, going back and seeing the same title speaking insecure, it all clicked. So I went to these older episodes, started replying under John 1995 post calling out for being Ed Spurs a few times, though I didn't think he noticed. Soon after all this weird fucking drama resolved between Hajin and Ed taking over, I kind of stopped tuning into the show because of being a boring piece of shit. I tuned back in after you had your second stint, but fell off after you left. Thanks. Though I noticed John Kim posting again, replying about your second departure, talking about what sounded like authority about how you won't be back because something negative you said about black people. I barely remember the exact reason, but it was Asian kid getting bullied by black kids, and you're rightly calling out the black kids for that. Yes, I was, and he was wrong. I'm pretty sure I dropped another, I know it's you, Ed, reply to comment, let that be that. Now another few months have got later, blah, blah, blah. Notice his burner account has been completely deleted. I'm 100% sure it was Ed. Knew he found out, panicked, deleted his burner. Funny thing is that in every episode, the dude would act like he wouldn't read the comments. Ed is fucking top tier bullshitting virtue signaling dude. So fucking obvious no matter how he tries to be. Anyway, I wish it was better. Yeah. Light streams. Thank you. Probably the first Korean American I've ever seen in media proudly declare that he is a communist. I think so too. Which is a shocking thing to hear when your entire life you've been around just the average Korean American who doesn't really rock the boat politically like that. Also true. Not. Oh yeah, no, I am not. Oh, you want me to go to KTSC again? If they do it again? I don't know about that. Wow, you did a lot of sleuthing out there, Paul. Thanks for that. I have to reevaluate I mean, I don't know. If it was him, that really sucks because, but I'm not that, but I wouldn't be that surprised. It would suck, but I wouldn't be that surprised. I'd just be disappointed. And I don't know. I feel like, yeah, if you're just not a communist, you're just fucking, all you're doing is you're just bloviating. You're just bloviating about morality and ideas, and you just run in circles. Circles that's why I read philosophy. This is why I'm reading all this German shit. This is why I'm reading Marx. Because what Marx is doing is literally showing, in his writing how these philosophers, they focus on these, circuitous things, and they focus on these like recursive, things that never come to completion because they start from these, you know, they start from a more idealistic viewpoint of reality that isn't commensurate or isn't doesn't match actual reality. And that's kind of like what I say all the time about liberals. Like liberals will say, the phrase that liberals like to say the most is do better. But what the fuck does do better even fucking mean, you know? Do better just means do as good as I'm doing because I'm doing better, but you're not doing better. So therefore, I am better than you morally. So it's just like this fucking like I say all the time, liberals are fucking Pharisees of politics. And it's just kind of like you could be right, right? It's but it's just kind of like, maybe this person should have done better or somebody should have done better. But it comes across as this kind of like, oh, I don't have a problem, you have a problem. When in actuality, in reality, in life in general, everyone fucking has a problem. No one's perfect. No one's doing the best. Everyone fucking fails all the time. And so to say that just sounds so fucking condescending and so fucking like, okay, then what? How am I supposed to do better? Just like, change my entire character? That doesn't make sense at all either. It just comes across as pedantic and not even useful because at the end of the day, it's like, all right. And that's why, like at the end of the day, I just find liberals just to be a waste of time. They could say all the shit that they want, but they're operating on a paradigm that is just very limited to this very small kind of encapsulated standard of morality. They've kind of created this rule book of like, this is what's good and this is what's bad, and there's no nuance. And so it's just kind of like, yeah. That's why I'm not surprised. Disappointed, obviously, but not surprised. Anyway, what's Mongolia? Mongolia is a country. What do you mean, what's Mongolia? DPRK has nukes. I don't think they are as helpless compared to Palestinians, though. Oh, yeah. They aren't as helpless as Palestinians, obviously, but, that was just the analogy. KTSC comment session was cinema after a day or two. Wait, why was it cinema? When I was there or when I wasn't there? What does your family think about being a communist? I mean, obviously they don't like it. My mom named me after MacArthur, so where they Oh, what's Mongolia? Oh, what would be Mongolia be? I feel like they would just be like Turkey, you know, a country that's kind of in the mix and doing stuff for supposedly the Arab side, but isn't really doing jack shit. I don't know. I haven't thought about Mongolia in that analogy. I'm not a communist. I am actually a right of center. Still enjoy listening to your takes. Well, I think like most people don't even know what communism is, to be honest, and that's both conservatives and liberals. I think they make a straw man and develop what they think communism is in order to attack it, and they do it from different angles, right? Like obviously right wing and left wing anti-communism look very different. But they ultimately it almost becomes this Schrodinger's thing where the left sort of accuses the right of being communist in certain regards, like authoritarianism or fascism or whatever, and then the right accuses the left of being communist, obviously, all the time. And, you know, like, oh, they're going to steal your shit or whatever. But it's like, neither of them know what communism is. Neither of them know even what fascism is. All they know is that Nazi equals fascism, and that's bad because they controlled everything and killed people. And it's like, yes, true enough. You know, Nazis bad, obviously, but like the nuance never goes deeper than that. The nuance is just Hitler bad. That's why fascism bad. Oh, and Mussolini was bad too because he was an ally of Hitler. Nothing about, you know, the fact that, you know, Mussolini pretty much legitimized and created fascism 10 years before Hitler even fucking, you know, came to power. And was pretty much the inspiration for, you know, Hitler's, you know, beer hall putsch and all that shit. Um, like no one in America, nobody knows anything. Everyone in America is fucking retarded. When it comes to politics, all Americans are retarded. And it's designed like that. It was literally designed like that from, you know, the Department of Education in 1979, for example. When was that? That was 4 years after Vietnam. That was like, oh, we need to, you know, we need to cancel this draft that sucked and like get the people on board and maybe we need to teach their kids how good America is so they don't hate us anymore. It kind of worked. Um, Department of Education was just a propaganda fucking move to get their kids to not hate America. Um, I mean, what I will say about Nick Fuentes, he knows how to. I mean, like very much like Hitler. He knows what people will respond to, and he knows how to coordinate his people. He knows what vectors to attack and how to attack them effectively and efficiently, especially with his groypers. His groypers are very dedicated. That's for sure. He does a very good job of making it seem like they're on one big team. And they're all kind of like pushing for this one goal together. And he's very adaptable. You know, he knows which threads to pull on at specific times, and he knows which threads to abandon when they've used up their usefulness to him. You know, I've been watching Nick for a while. Let me. uh, uh. Here's what I wrote. I'll put it in the chat too. Nick Fuentes, like Hitler, wants to present himself as an anti-establishment figure against the system. Except his Klaus chasing betrays his true intent. Because why would someone who's trying to overthrow a system need establishment media to spread his message? He already has enough reach to disseminate it to anyone actually looking for far-right extremism, neo-Nazism. This is because, like Hitler, his true intent isn't to overthrow the state for his groypers or even for the potential masses he wants to reach, but for his own self-aggrandizement, as he doesn't actually believe that his ideals have any chance of materializing. Look at his strategy of promoting himself as a political candidate for president. Do his followers actually believe that he genuinely believes the path to victory is through the electoral presidency, especially since he would never even sniff a true candidacy given his misogynistic rhetoric? A huge reason for the Nazi Party's success was their appeal to women and their conservatism, something that clearly does not exist with American women today. And the other side of the equation is that Hitler was backed by global finance capital, whereas Fuentes' primary opponents, ostensibly the Jews, quote-unquote, would never actually let him ascend unless they thought it was useful to bolster their anti-Zionists or anti-Semitic rhetoric. Fuentes is nothing more than a con man who uses his followers for their money and support purely as a voice to vent their grievances in a mass public forum, which is why for Zionists, he's actually a perfect controlled op, whether he realizes it or not, because he does bolster that Zionists equal Jews rhetoric for Israel, but doesn't actually represent a real threat politically, a perfect counter-propagandist for their interests. So yeah, that's how I basically have determined that Zionists don't actually care that Nick Fuentes exists. They actually want him to exist, because he, like I've said before about, Herzl and all these other old school Zionists, they recognize that anti-Semites actually provided a symbiotic relationship with them in order to create Israel. I mean, that's the whole thing about why they launder the Holocaust for all this sympathy. They actually knew that they actually were trying to attempt to stop any immigration out of Germany and the Nazi land unless it was to Israel. Because they knew that if the poor Jews get killed by Hitler, the poor Jews that that couldn't afford to move to Israel, they knew that, first of all, they're not useful to them because they wouldn't be rich enough to have political power, and B, they can use their deaths for political points in the Holocaust. I haven't read this book called Zionism During the Holocaust, but there's evidence, that it was written by a rabbi, actually. But there's evidence that suggests that the Zionists knew exactly what the fucking Nazi Holocaust was doing and actually welcomed it for political reasons. And so, yeah, the idea that Nick Fuentes could be just a Zionist agent is not that far-fetched, actually. Anyway, thing about Fuentes is, even though he's racist, he's so Catholic that he still thinks every human has a soul. I mean, I don't really believe that Nick Fuentes is Catholic or Christian in any sense of the word Christian. I think he just uses Christianity as a ideology. I mean, yeah, of course he's right on a lot of cultural issues, but it doesn't take that much of a genius to call a lot of the left's retardation out. But yeah. Anyhow, I think I've been on this stream for a while, so I'll do the last two questions that I've been asked, I guess. If you could control yourself from a third person like a sim character for a year, what would you make yourself do? What? What do you mean? What? I would just do what I've been doing. I actually used to think about that when I was younger. It was more related to just like, asking a girl out, right? Like just like, or she could just take over my body and just, from a computer and just ask someone out, like controlling my body, like doing shit like that maybe. But yeah, I just do what I've been doing. I've been reading a lot. I've been exercising, doing Wing Chun still. Play tennis now a little, a couple times a week. Uh, just trying to. I guess if it was like a third person sim character for a year, and I would just cut out all the smoking weed I do and wasting time I do, and just fucking go all out. Um, but yeah, let's see. It's KTSC, by the way. I don't know why, uh, but I don't talk to anyone from the KTSC, to be honest. I mean, I feel like I was friendly with the tech people. The tech people liked me for sure. Um, Basically, we'll never probably talk to Michael Kim ever again in my life. I think Ed texted me after I got booted the second time to say like sorry about that. But I haven't really spoke to him since. I think that was like a month ago, 2 months ago. Um, yeah, whatever. All right, it's been a couple hours. Hopefully next week I will have the Death Stranding going on. Um, I don't know. Would you guys want me to do the first game first, so you guys even know what the Death Stranding is even about? Let me know, and let me know the AMA, whatever, or the fucking NGL link. If I should do Death Stranding 1 first, or if I should do something else first, you know, just like something I can do so it's not like just my face. All right, that's it for me. I'll see you on Sunday. Later.